So like Crayola markers or any kind of like washable markers. Like these ones, make sure they're washable, and maybe they don't have to be washable, like Crayola water-based. Awesome. It can't be permanent. Like no Sharpies, or like Expo markers might work too, but no Sharpies. So yeah, and try to have a few colors. You don't need a whole box like I have, but I see lots of friends do have a full box, but just as long as you have markers. And then another thing you're gonna need is glue. So I have a glue stick. If you have a glue bottle or you have any other kind of glue, just need something to stick one thing to another thing. If you don't have glue in your house, tape could work, but it will be a little bit more work for you. But next thing is going to be glue, okay? All right, the next thing that we're gonna need is tin foil. So just like this, I have my whole little roll of tin foil. Awesome, I see lots of friends holding up their things. Amazing. Okay, I'm gonna give a minute. It looks like we've had some new friends join, and then Elizabeth is also here. Hello, Elizabeth.
Skyler, hey guys.
Hi. I'm gonna
to see my friends.
I'm gonna type in so far what we've gone over. So we've gone over markers, glue, and tin foil. So those are our first 3 things that we need for our project, okay? The next things that we're gonna need is a couple pieces of white paper, just like this. It can be thick like construction paper, cardstock, or something like that, but I just have some just plain white paper, and I have a couple sheets of it too, like just handy. So I'm gonna go paper. It doesn't need to be white, but that's kind of like the easiest color of paper to find in general, but if you have like different colored construction paper, that will work too. And then for everyone just logging in, hopefully you can see in the chat I've been typing everything. If not, it's all listed in the email, all the supplies. Thank you for holding up your papers, friends. Oop, I see we have a question. Maya?
Can you go over what we need again?
Yes, I will do a quick little recap for you. Okay, first thing we need is markers. Markers, right here. Next thing we need is glue. Any kind of glue. I have a glue stick. Number 2, glue. Number 3, tin foil. Tin foil right there. Number 4, paper. A couple pieces, okay? The next thing is going to be some kind of thin cardboard from like maybe like a cereal box or like an empty box that you had. I had this random thing that I ordered that had this thin cardboard, which is perfect for this. So it doesn't have to be cereal, but I've seen lots of cereals. This is very important. So everything else is not as important, but this is like the main thing. So everyone needs to make sure that they have this and that you are able to cut it with scissors. That's why it's important that it's kind of thin. So it's not super thick, so you're not hurting your hands and you're able to cut it. So that's this. This is what we need. Give me thumbs up if we have it, and then wave your hand in front of the camera if you do not have this. Oop, okay.
Maya.
Oop.
There you go.
I don't have it.
Okay. Do you have it in your house anywhere? Did you?
I have it. My mom's didn't.
Oh.
Okay, now I have it.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So it seems like everybody else has this. This is the most important thing. I'm going to hang mine back up right there. And then the last and final thing that we're going to need is a bowl of water with like a sponge. Any kind of sponge, or if you don't have a sponge that you could use for this, you could get like a paper towel and get it a little damp, something that you can like get something wet with, just a little bit wet. But so right here, don't want to spill all over, but I have a bowl of water and a sponge. Okay. Oh, I see some of you have those cool little like, who is this? I see that Ava has like some of those cool little like marker or those paintbrush sponges. That's a really cool idea if you have those. I see some other people have those too. Mackie has that. Awesome. Okay, so give me 2 thumbs up for if you have all of the materials ready in front of you. 2 thumbs up. Okay, I see mostly thumbs, mostly thumbs. I see someone with a weight. Okay, is that a weight? That's a weight. Okay. Oh, okay, we switched to thumbs. Okay, awesome. Let's get started. And to get started, I'm going to show you guys a little preview sneak peek of all of the steps so that you can put them in your brain and you can have them there and you can know what we are going to be doing. So maybe if you were going to ask a question, we can avoid that and just stay on track, do our project. You can say, oh, I know what's going to happen because I've already seen it happen. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And hopefully, did this switch everybody's screen to seeing my screen? Yes? Stephen,
Yep.
Do you see my screen?
Yep, I see your screen.
Okay, awesome. And then can you hear this, Stephen?
Like a cereal box.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So
Let's make an R2D2.
we're going to watch this quick video, and this is going to be our project, just so you guys know. Keep in mind that it's going to be a little bit different. It might not be exactly the same, but the steps that we're going to follow are going to be just like these, okay?
Coleograph print. All you're going to need is some cardboard like a cereal box, glue, scissors, aluminum foil, and markers. Begin by cutting apart the cereal box so you have a nice flat piece of cardboard to work with. Then let's start with the top of R2's head. It's a semicircle, and then the bottom is a rectangle. Draw nice and big, and then go ahead and cut it out. Any pieces that you cut out, save those for knobs or lights or switches that are on R2. Once you have some of your pieces cut out, you can work on your composition or your placement of things. I'm also using a piece of cardboard like a cereal box thickness underneath R2. Begin by placing your shapes out. Really, he's just made up of a series of geometric shapes. A dome shape for the head, 2 dome shapes that are smaller for his little wheels, I guess you could call them his feet, a couple of rectangles for his legs, and then a bunch of smaller pieces that you can add to his face and his body for all of those little details. The more details you add, the better. Once you've decided on your composition or your placement of things, then it's time to glue everything in place. To begin by gluing the smaller details, the little things that are sitting on top first, and then anchoring the bigger pieces to my base or the bottom of the paper. Once you've got everything glued down, you might want to let it dry for a couple of minutes before you move on to this next step. Now place a sheet of aluminum foil over your creation and begin to massage the foil until you can see your design show up underneath. You'll want to make sure to do that with your fingertips only so that your fingernails don't accidentally slice into the foil. I then like to tuck the foil behind my work. That way it doesn't get in the way on this next step. All right, grab those markers because now we're going to color, baby, color. It's important that you're using water-based, otherwise known as, like I call them, coloring markers for this step. You won't want to use permanent markers. Here's why. We're going to be pulling a print. In order to pull a print, we need these markers to be water-based because we'll be using water to pull the print from the plate. When you're finished with a bunch of prints, you could, of course, go back, color with permanent markers, but those permanent markers will just stay on the foil, making it a really beautiful work of art. But for this, let's use coloring markers, filling it all the way in. Now, as you color, your markers might start to dry on the surface of the foil. Don't worry about it. You could even take a break and come back and keep coloring. Your printing process will still work. Once you have most of the foil colored in, and you can see that as it dries, some of the water pulls away a little bit, it's fine. Grab a piece of paper and a sponge and really dampen the paper, and then lay the damp piece of paper on top of your Coleograph R2. Massage, 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 pressing really firmly. Don't let the paper wiggle like I just did. And what? Can you believe that? It's amazing. And then look how clean R2 is, which means we get to repeat the process. You could do what's called a pop art style, meaning it's based in popular culture, like R2 is. Like I said.
So this is going to end up like a little bit similar to what you guys are going to have on your things. And now we know all the steps. They're in our brain. So hopefully if we have questions, we can answer them ourselves because we've seen this. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and we're gonna get into the making of the project. Okay, so our first step is going to be to grab our piece of cardboard, just like this, the one that is like a cereal box or some kind of your thin cardboard. You're gonna grab that right now, and then you're gonna grab a black marker. Okay, give me some thumbs up when we're ready. Thumbs up. We have our cereal box, our cardboard, and then we also have a marker. Okay, it seems like we're almost ready. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna still make the R2D2. We're gonna do it a little bit simplified, a little bit different than she did, by drawing out exactly the shapes that we need first. If your box is still like together, I'm gonna give you a minute to start kind of cutting it apart and make it like a flat sheet of paper, just like this. Does anyone have a box that is still kind of put together and still an actual box? Okay, well, I'll give you a second.
Hudson, do you have a question? Go ahead and unmute.
I don't want my black marker to dry out because we're drawing 12 books of Buffy the Mischievous Puzzle, and Dada has to write the words with a black marker.
Okay, it won't dry out, I promise. I think what she said is that the marker is going to, when it gets to the tinfoil, when you're drawing and coloring on the tinfoil, the marker that you've drawn will dry, not the marker you're using. Is that okay?
Yeah.
It's not going to dry out. Don't worry. We're not doing that much. You can still make your mischievous book. Are there any other questions? Now that we've watched the video, we know what's going to happen. We know what we're making. It's super duper cool. And it can be reused and reused over and over and over, which is like the coolest part. And does everyone have their box ready to be drawn on, ready to be written on, and a marker to do so? We're going to be drawing on cardboard. So just so you guys know, I made a little guideline right here of exactly what we're going to be drawing. If you fall behind or if you want to go a little bit ahead, it's right here. So hopefully you can see that. But what we're going to be doing is I just did it on paper. We're going to be doing it on our cardboard. Okay? And I'm going to do it along with you on our cardboard. Does anyone have any questions right now? Are we okay? Okay. First step is going to be draw the top of our R2D2, which is going to be the dome shape. And how we're going to do that, hang on, let me move my desk so you guys can come a little bit closer to me. Okay. Hopefully you can see a little bit closer up. So our first shape we're going to make is our dome, which is right here, our big dome. We're going to make a line that's about 2 inches across, just like that, a line. And then what we're going to do is we're going to connect the 2 sides of the line and make an almost rainbow shape over, like a little hoop over, just like one part of a rainbow. Okay? And you can make this bigger, you can make this smaller. It doesn't have to be the exact same size as mine. You probably can't even tell exactly how big it is, but it doesn't matter. It's all going to end up the same as long as you do everything else according to the size that you've done it. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a line right below that, about a centimeter below, the same length as that first line that we made, right there. And this is where starting the body of our R2D2. And then also, if you really like this project, you can recreate this with something else that you might want to draw. Like you could do it with a flower, you could do it with the sun, you could do it with anything. So this is just the first thing that we're gonna do. And then if you wanna recreate it yourself at home, you have all the materials and it's easy to do at home now that you're gonna know. So the next step is gonna be to do 2 lines going downward, just like that. And we're gonna make a square. Could be like a rectangle. Oh, I see someone's already done. Oh my goodness, Ava, you're so ahead of the game. Then we're gonna do a line on the bottom. And we're just making a big square that's gonna be the body and then the head. So we've got those 2 steps done. The next thing we're gonna start working on are gonna be the arms of R2D2, the things that he like kind of walks around on. And then so what we're gonna do is gonna do another line going downward. And then we're gonna do a little rectangle. We're gonna make it just like that. Little rectangle going downward. They can go to the side too. We're gonna end up cutting these out. But it's good to get visually kind of how it's gonna be downward. And then we're gonna do another one, the exact same size and shape. Because R2D2 has 2 of his main arms. Just like that, okay? Is everyone okay? I know some of us are ahead. Are some of us behind? We're doing all right? Okay, awesome. Steven, you'll let me know if anyone?
Yep.
Awesome. And then now we're gonna do are the 2 little feet of R2D2. So we're gonna do a miniature version of that dome first shape that we made. So we're gonna do a little line that's about half the size of the first line, about 1 inch, just like this. And this is gonna be the feet. This is this part right here. And then we're gonna make another little rainbow, little humpity hoopity thingy, just like that. And then we're gonna make the same shape another time. So in case you missed the first time, we're gonna make it again. We're gonna do an inch line across just like that, and then connect the 2 ends and make that little mini rainbow. Now, so these are the 2 arms, these are the 2 little feet. And now we're gonna go in and we gotta make the kind of details for his body like she made in the video. Because the more we layer our little print, the more it will stand out in the paper, the cooler it'll look, the more detailed we'll have it. So it's gonna be super cool. So the next thing is we're gonna make his little eyeball. If you guys know R2D2, he's got like a main eyeball in the middle of his head. So make sure this little circle, we're gonna make a circle. Make sure that once you cut it out, it will fit inside your dome. It can be really tiny, it can be really big, but just make sure that it's the right size so that it will fit inside your dome once it's cut out. So mine I made maybe like ½ an inch and it would definitely fit in there. I can even use my fingers, measure it out, make sure. And then now the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make his plating in his little body area. So he's got some rectangle shapes. And then if you wanna add more of these, if you feel like this isn't enough for you, then you can go ahead and add a little bit more. I'm just giving the guideline of what I'm gonna do. And if you feel like you wanna be creative, you can add some more circles, some more rectangles. But I'm gonna add a couple rectangles that are gonna go in his body. So I'm gonna again make sure, I'm gonna measure them out, make sure that they'll fit in there. I'm gonna do 1 rectangle, another rectangle, and a kind of longer one that goes on the bottom. Just like that. So these are all my final shapes. The most important ones, I would say, are just the body and then the leg shapes. The other ones, you don't have to do exactly the same. If they're a little bit different, it is totally fine. But that is it, okay. Is everyone okay on these steps? Do we need a minute? Yeah. It looks like a couple of us are still coloring and writing. If you're ready and you're done like I am, you can start carefully cutting out your shapes, okay? This is why we needed that thinner cardboard, so we would be able to cut it, hopefully with our kid scissors. If you have adult scissors and you're being supervised by an adult, that could be okay. But hopefully your kid scissors. Stephen, I love your background.
Oh, I know.
Guys, look at Stephen, that's so cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna start cutting out my shapes. So I'm gonna go probably this way first. My cardboard a little bit smaller, that's easier. And I'm gonna save that scraps probably for later because I could make another one if I wanted to. Once I figure out the process and everything, you can make as many as you want. just like this. It's like having your own little miniature printing press set up at home, which is super duper cool. So I cut out my square, just like that. And once you have your pieces cut out, just set them down. Okay, make sure we don't lose them. And then save your extra cardboard or recycle it if you don't think you're gonna use it again. But yeah, this is just the cutting part. Does anyone have any questions? Are we doing pretty good? I got my little headpiece, just like that. And yeah, we're cutting away.
Mackie, do you have a question? Go for it.
Do you have to do R2D2?
You don't have to. If you want to arrange the shapes to make them look a little bit different, you totally can.
Because me and my mom are doing a flower.
Sure. Yeah. Make a flower. Amazing. Just follow the same steps that we're doing, but just arrange them a little bit differently. But I'll totally want to see this at the end if you're doing something a little bit different than us. And then also, you're going to have to send it probably to Ashley in the drive. If you guys don't know, if you haven't been here before, we have a Google Drive that Ashley will probably send the link out to in the email. So I just cut out my 2 legs, just an update for you guys. We have a Google Drive thing, or like a Dropbox or something like that, where everyone can share their artwork. And it can be like, we're kind of posting it as our art camp community. So if you're really proud of your artwork and you feel like you worked really hard on it, then share it there, and Ashley will be able to see it. All your classmates will be able to see it. Your friends that you may not be able to see in person will be able to see your artwork. It'll be super cool. I'm cutting out my little feet now. Is everyone doing okay cutting? Yeah, I see lots of concentrated faces. I'm really concentrated too. There we go. I got both my feet done. And now I'm just working on my like buttons and my buttons and panels and things. Cutting out the circle for the eyeball. Okay. All right, I got the circle for the eyeball. Yay. And then cutting out the little panels. Oh, awesome. I see some friends showing their completed things. Looks
Looking
so
good,
cool.
everyone.
All right, I'm down to my final 2 rectangles. I hope you guys are getting close. Down to my final 2 rectangles. I had really big scissors though, so it might have been a little bit easier for me. Because I don't have any kid scissors in my house. I looked for them, but I only have adult scissors. All right. Also, while I'm cutting these, I'm like making, like accidentally, just from the scraps, all these other little rectangles. If you are in the same situation, then maybe you could use these in your project if you wanted to add a little bit more detail. But if you feel comfortable with just doing the guidelines that I set up, just do that, because that's what I'm gonna do. All right, and I have cut out my 2 final rectangles. Okay, I see some friends are done cutting, some friends are still cutting. I'm gonna give it a minute while our friends finish up. All right. Maybe while we wait for our friends to finish coloring, does anyone have a quick joke they could tell? Do we have any quick jokes? Oh, okay, I see a hand raised. Kayla?
Say Kalia.
Leah.
Oh, that's such a pretty name. Do you have a joke?
What's your joke?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Cow.
Cow who?
Cow who?
Cow boo.
Cow boo! Oh my gosh, that's an amazing joke. Thank you so much for sharing, Kalia. Does anyone else have a quick joke? Maybe
Charlotte and
one more?
Kaylee.
Oh, there we go.
Going.
Go for it, Charlotte and Kaylee.
Kaylee, are you going? Kaylee. Go on, Kaylee.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Blueberry.
Blueberry who?
Blueberry who?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Blueberry.
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 Blueberry who?
Oh,
Knock.
Now say it.
who's there?
Say orange.
Orange.
Orange who?
Orange who?
I'm not a blueberry.
Aren't you glad? Yeah.
That's a good one. I've heard that before, but with banana.
Banana. Yep.
I
That's
got one.
You got one, Charlotte? Go for it.
Why is 6 scared of 7? Because 7, 8, 9.
Oh, thank you for sharing, girls. Okay. It still looks like a couple people are still cutting.
Yeah.
So I think we have a hand raised. Cooper?
I have a really funny one. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Banana.
Banana who?
Banana who?
Who's there?
Banana.
Banana who?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Orange
Orange
who?
who?
Orange glad I didn't say banana.
Yep, that's a good one. Thank you for sharing, Cooper. Okay. It looks like we're almost done cutting. Let's see. We have a couple more friends. Are you guys close to finishing? Give me a nod if you're still cutting, but you're close to finishing. Can I get like a nod? I don't see anyone nodding.
I see someone nodding.
I see some people be like, yes, we're ready. I know. We gotta wait till everyone comes and finishes up though. Because it's not cool when you fall behind and then everyone gets ahead and then you're like, what am I supposed to do? You know? Okay. We're gonna give it let's give it one more minute and then we will, oh, I see a clap. Is that it? Leah, do you have a question? Oh, okay. Yes?
Do we need to have a piece of cardboard underneath when we lay out, or just on a piece of paper?
Just on a piece of paper, I found is fine in the past. You could use cardboard if you had extra, just to make it a little bit more sturdy, but a piece of paper should be totally fine.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. All right. It looks like we're all almost finished cutting. Okay, we're gonna move on. And for those of you still cutting, I will answer your questions if we are falling a little bit behind. Okay, so what you're gonna need is your glue stick, okay? Or your the glue squeeze bottle thing, any kind of glue that you have, your glue. You're gonna need all your little pieces that you cut out, and you're gonna need your piece of paper. Those are our 3 things that we need right now. And I'm gonna tilt my thing down. So hopefully you can see it. And I'm gonna actually glue mine down upside down so that you have the best angle. So like I just got all my pieces right here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay them out in the shape that I want them to be. So I'm gonna take the big head first, and I'm gonna lay it down just like that. Okay. And it's okay if they get a little bit wonky and move a little bit. Eventually they'll end up in the right space once we glue them. We're just gonna set them down for right now so we get an idea of where they need to be. Then I'm gonna take my big square and put it down below, just like it's the bottom, just like that. And then I'm gonna take my 2 biggest rectangles, the ones that I made for the arms, and I'm gonna lay them down right there. Just like that, okay? And actually move it a little bit up. I want to make sure that I have enough room in the bottom for my feet. Then I'm going to take my feet and I'm going to lay them one at a time down just like that. And then I'm going to start going in with my other little pieces. I'm going to lay my eyeball right there. I'm going to lay my inner pieces, one going across, just like that. And then my two littler ones are going to go up and down, just like that. All right. I'm going to tilt it. So hopefully you guys will get a really good angle, really good view of what it should look like. Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Maya, I saw your hand raised. Do you have a question? Oops.
I have a long piece of paper,
Mm-hmm.
like this long.
You could cut it in half if you wanted to, if it's
Okay.
too big. Yeah, it doesn't need to be that big.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, and I'm gonna start gluing them down. So, since I have a glue stick, I'm getting like a good amount of glue. Like, I don't know if you can see, but it's got like good big chunks. And I'm just slowly gonna glue down each and every piece exactly where I want it in the placement of how I laid it down before. And then if you have some extra little pieces that maybe you want to add on, this is the stage where you would do that, and yours might end up looking just the tiniest bit different from mine if you did that. Or if you're doing a flower, like I know one of our friends is, it's gonna look probably a lot different. I'm just gluing them. And then, I don't know if you caught it in the video, but for the pieces where you have a little piece on a big piece, you're gonna wanna take your little piece, like right here, I'm taking the eyeball, just like this, and then I'm gluing it to the big piece first. That's the first step. So see, now I glued my eyeball, it's not falling off, just like that. And then I'm gonna go and glue the back of my big piece, my head, to the paper. Okay, do we have any questions? Are we all doing okay? Does anyone have any trouble with their placement or anything? Once we start gluing, it's pretty simple. It's kind of like the cutting thing all over again, where we just have like a bunch of steps in one step. All right. Do my big body. I glued my big piece first on accident, but that's okay. It still works.
Anybody have any questions, or are you guys all good?
It's pretty easy. Once we see a video, Ashley and I figured this out, more Ashley than me, but once we show a video and we give like a representation of each and every step, we know what we're doing, we know what we're gonna follow, then it gets a little bit easier and there's a lot less questions. Because in person at art camp, it's normally we can have an example, or it's easier to follow along because we're seeing it right there with our own eyes. But virtual art camp, it's a little bit different. So we figured out that the videos really, really help. Okay, so I have all my pieces glued down. I'm gonna put the lid on my glue stick. And here, I'll show you guys one more time. And again, yours might look a little bit different. That's okay. Most art pieces are a little bit different. Okay. Is everyone still gluing? Does it look like we're still working? Okay, I guess I got some nods. Okay, this is what it looks like. Just like this. It looks like we're all good though.
Yep.
Awesome. What I'm gonna do now actually is, if you wanna do this too, it's a little bit optional, but my paper, like our friend, whoever we called on last time, who was it, Maya? her paper was really big, so she cut it out a little bit. So I'm gonna do that same thing. So my paper is really big. Again, this is optional. You don't have to do this if you have the time right now. If you finish a little bit early, then you can. But I'm just gonna make it a little bit smaller, so there's less of like a giant space and edge around my cardboard pieces that I've glued down. And then I'm also gonna give it a minute right now to dry, which is good. So if you finish a little bit early, it's totally fine, because this gives your glue a little bit more time to dry before we have to put on the tin foil. So just like that, I have cut out my little R2D2 shape and made him a little bit more compact and small and easy to control once we have to put on the tin foil. Okay, do we have any questions? Are we doing good? This is such a fun project. I love these cute little art projects like this. Okay, I've got my R2D2, you guys can see.
Looks good, Amanda. Dylan, I like yours. It's looking good. Oh, Kalia, do you have a question?
What's your question?
I like everybody's art, what they did.
Aw,
That's so sweet. Thank you for sharing. Aw. These are looking so good. I see the friends. A lot of us are almost done. I see some of us, when we're done, we're blowing. So that's a good thing. I used a glue stick, so my glue, it's already like tacky and sticky. However, if you use like the Elmer's glue, like a squeezable glue, it'll be better to probably blow in it, like I see some friends doing, because of the fact that it's a little bit more wet. But I see lots of friends are working. All right. I think some of us, maybe we've already put our tin foil on. Are any of us still gluing down our pieces? Give me a wave in the camera if you're still gluing down your pieces. Okay, I see one wave. I see two waves. Okay, we're gonna give it
3, 4, yeah.
Oh, okay, we're gonna give it a couple more minutes then. And then if you're still waiting, if you've already finished, push in your pieces really good, make sure they're good and secure. And then we're just gonna give it a minute to dry, okay? Hope I see. Hudson, did you have a question?
I don't have that many other rectangles. What do I do if I don't have that many other shapes?
That's okay. I didn't have that many other shapes either. Do you have as many shapes as I have?
Oh, I don't. I have less.
Did we lose some of our shapes?
No, we didn't. No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, here, look at mine. If you want to cut more out and glue them on that look like mine, then you can do that right now. You have some time. Okay, Hudson?
I'm working on another thing. I'm working on another thing for the picture.
Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Hudson. Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Are we still working on gluing our pieces? Give me some more waves if we're still working on gluing our pieces.
I see one hand.
Oh, I see our flower. Oh, Mackie, that looks beautiful. Wow. Thank you for showing that. Okay, I see a couple people are still working.
Okay.
We'll give it another minute. Does anyone else have any questions? Oh, wow. Charlotte and Kaylee, that looks really cool. I think that's Kaylee on that side. Those extra little bits and pieces you added all around are so cool. Thank you for showing me that.
Love it, Dylan. It looks awesome.
Awesome. Okay.
Nice job, Virginia. It's looking awesome. Sydney, I see it. Looking great. Same with you, Charlotte. Ooh, I like what you did. You kind of followed in Kaylee's, but with different shapes. Nice job, Nicholas. Maya, looking awesome.
Okay, guys, I'm going to give it like 30 more seconds for those of you who are gluing, and I'm going to move on to the next step. Don't worry if you fall a little bit behind. I will answer your questions, but we got to move on because we're running a little bit out of time. We got to make sure we can finish our project or at least know the final steps so that we can finish it once we log off.
Nice job, Mr. and Miss Kalia. Looking awesome.
Okay. So for those of us who are ready, those of us who are not, continue to glue. But just so you know, this is the super, super easiest step almost of all time. We're just gonna wrap our thing in tinfoil. So don't get your tinfoil out yet. Watch what I do first and then you guys do it. We're gonna take out a sheet. Make sure it's big enough to cover your entire thing. So mine is definitely big enough, but keep it relatively flat. Don't like scrunch it up or anything. If it gets a few bumps or tears, it's okay, but don't scrunch it up too much on purpose, on accident. It's totally okay, but you want it relatively flat, like it's just come out. It hasn't been like wrapped up or scrunched. And what we're gonna do, it doesn't really matter which side, if it's the shiny side or the matte side. We're gonna lay it down flat, just like that. And we're gonna do exactly what they did in the video. And we're just gonna rub out all of our pieces, just like this. Don't use your fingernails too much, like she said. It could rip the tin foil, and we don't want that, because then we could make holes, and then our marker won't be exactly the same. But I'm just using the tips of my fingers, and I'm rubbing around all the little divots and bumps and everything else from all of our cardboard pieces that we have glued down. And you should start to see the shape of your R2D2 coming through the tin foil. You should start to be able to see clearly where the lines are if you're rubbing in well enough. So I'll show you, here's like an update on where mine is. I hope you can see the bumps and the ridges and everything. Can you see that, R2? So I'm slowly just getting everything so I can see all the lines and all the shapes and everything. And once you feel like you have enough of the ridges and everything covered, very, very carefully, you can fold the edges around the back of the paper. Just like this, so it's super secure. And it's okay if it gets bumpy on the back when you fold it. Totally fine. Folding it over just like this. So this is what the back of mine looks like now. It's kind of like I've almost wrapped it up, like you would if you're wrapping up like a box of leftover food or something. And then I'm gonna go back in one more time with the tip of my finger, just like this. And I'm rubbing in those edges once again, just to get them super pronounced and defined now that we have the back. And then rolled over. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone having any trouble seeing all their lines? So this is what mine is looking like. Can you guys see the outline of my R2 reflecting there? Just like that. So I'm gonna lay it down. I'm gonna keep rubbing it in. I'm gonna keep making those shapes more pronounced and visible. Just like this, using again the fingertip, the soft part, not the nail. And yeah. Did anyone fall behind? Is anyone okay? Or not okay, I mean? Do we have any questions here? Again, this is a super easy step. Just wrapping something up in tinfoil, like wrapping it like a present, but in tinfoil.
I think we're looking good. I think everyone's on track to getting this step done really quickly.
Yeah, awesome.
I see some friends are already starting the coloring process also.
Yes. So if you're done with this step, you can start coloring. Okay. So make sure you can color it however you want to. This is where you can really be creative and really let your artistic expression shine through in your R2D2. But try and maybe color the shape that are pronounced one color and then the background another color, but you want to color the whole thing. You don't want any place to not have color in it, because it's going to be even cooler when we do our actual print making and we do the actual water. So I'm going to start coloring mine along with you guys. I'm going to open up my whole marker box, and I think I'm going to do mine a little bit traditional R2D2 looking, and I'm going to do him blue and red. So I'm going to make his little head blue. And if the marker, it kind of has little, like, it opens and it doesn't come off completely clean, and it doesn't have perfect like lines and stuff like that, if it almost looks like the water or the marker's separating like water would, that is normal. That is perfect. That is fine. It will still make a print just as cool. That's what mine is doing currently. So it's super normal. Don't worry. And then be careful to be gentle, but with poking holes in the tin foil that's a little bit raised, because that could happen. So I've colored my head blue. I'm coloring my feet blue.
Becky, I saw you were waving your hand a few moments ago. Did you have a question? No?
We don't have a question? Okay. At this stage as well, again, make sure you're coloring all the way to the edges. And yeah, we should just be doing some coloring. And then just like the lady said in the video, you can reuse this thing that you've made. This is our it's almost like a stamp, if you want to think of it that way. It's like our printmaking stamp. You can reuse it over and over and over and make a bunch of different cartoon-like styles, like very almost like Andy Warhol, like creating different styles of the same exact artwork. So yeah, like the lady said, it's a pop art style. So this is something that we've done that has made pop art, which is super duper cool. So I'm just coloring around the edges of all my shapes. And I'm almost done with my actual R2D2 body. And then I'll move on to my R2D2 background. Color the eye. And then once you learn this skill, like I said, you could go on and make a bunch of different shapes and kind of drawings like you did the R2D2, but you can make them a little bit different. You can make a flower like our one friend made. You can make a sun. You could make a guitar. You can make anything really that you wanted to draw and cut out from little pieces of cardboard. Continuing to color. Does anyone have any questions? Are we all doing okay?
Don't see any hands raised. Looks like we're all just coloring. Hudson, that looks amazing. Becky, do you have a question?
I finished coloring.
Awesome. So hang tight, maybe add a few more details to your R2D2. Once a few more people are done.
R2D2.
Oh, are
She's
you
the one with the flower.
You're the flower. Okay, awesome. Then just hang on a sec. We're gonna wait for a few more friends to finish, and then we're gonna move on to our next step. Okay? But if you are ready, you can get your next step things ready. So we're gonna need another piece of white paper, and then we're gonna need our sponge and our water.
Just one
by those white pieces of paper.
First one, second one, third one. Oh, one.
So yeah, those are our next is supplies that we're gonna need. If you guys want to grab those, if you're done. But I'm still coloring. I'm having a good time coloring. I don't color so much as an adult. This is very relaxing.
Maya.
You have a question?
There you go.
This is my R2D2.
Oh, let me see.
Love
Oh.
it.
Awesome. I love the different colors. That is so cool. So just hang tight.
And
I
I'm
like that
making one
blue.
for my brother too. That's I didn't do.
Aw.
Oh, cool. So maybe while you're waiting, since you've colored that other one, you can start working on your brother's piece and color it in tinfoil maybe for him, and then he can color it. That's so cool though. Down to my coloring. I'm working on my whole background now, guys. I finished my whole R2D2 body. It feels really nice to color on this. It's almost like coloring like with Expo markers on a whiteboard. It's like really nice and smooth. I'm almost done with mine. So hopefully most of you are finishing up. I see lots of concentrated faces in our coloring. So that's awesome. All right, guys. I see that a lot of you are still working on coloring, but I'm gonna ask for your attention really quickly because we only have 4 minutes left. Time flew in this class. We only have 4 minutes left, so we've got to cover our very last step. It's okay if you're not there yet, but I'm just gonna show you. So if I could have everyone look up, pay attention to me. So I have my final piece of paper, and again, you can do this as many times as you want. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my sponge and I'm gonna wring it out a lot. Like it's not that wet, like it's not dripping, but it is a little bit wet if I feel it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna gently press it onto my paper. I'm gonna get the paper wet, just like this. And this, we do this so that, for one, if the marker had dried out at all, it will re-wet it. But also, we do this so that the paper has like an absorbency level to take in that ink in the markers. And it kind of replenishes that water that we've put onto the paper. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my R2D2, I'm gonna flip it upside down, I'm gonna press it down really hard, and I'm gonna wiggle, I'm gonna use my finger again, and I'm gonna push down all those edges and all those pieces and everything like that, and make sure that I've gotten every piece, that I've gotten the body really nicely, really good. And once I've pressed for a few minutes, you should press for a good amount of time, just to be super careful and make sure that you've gotten all of the edges done. And like she said in the video, at this stage, don't wiggle it. Don't wiggle it, don't wiggle it like side to side, because what could happen is it's gonna smear. And it's gonna make, like if you've ever had a stamp and you've stamped it down and you've smeared it, it's not gonna make the shape that you want. Okay, so I feel like I've pressed it down a good amount, and I'm gonna lift it up, and wow! It made an R2D2 shape. I don't think I pressed well enough in the middle area right here, but as you can see, I made my very own printing thing. And you can reuse this. Now, Look at most of the colors come off. Like I said, I don't think I pressed one up. So you got to press really hard for a good amount of time. I can reuse this. I can do it again and again and again. And it's like a stamp. You can use it forever. And then once you're done, if you don't want to make any more and you want like a cool decoration, maybe to hang in your room, you can color this with permanent marker and it will look and stay the same color forever. So I hope your guys are working. If you're doing it along with me and you've already done your printing, hold it up to the camera so I can see. Oh, wow, that's so awesome. Oh, the flower looks beautiful, Mackie. That came out so cool. Wow, Ava, that looks amazing. Virginia, the colors are so cool. Cooper, that I like it. I like how it's like a dark R2D2 robot thing. That's so cool. I like how it has like extra feet. Awesome. And for those of you who are still coloring, that's okay. You know the step now. Just because we ran out of time. It is 12 o'clock. So I'm going to say thank you guys so much for being here. Again, if you want to share your drawing, you want to share your creation online and show your friends, show Ashley, show me, show Steven, show everybody, Ashley will send a link to either a Google Drive or a Dropbox. Do you know what it is, Steven?
I don't know which one it was again.
It's one or the other, like a Google Drive or a Dropbox. So she will send that link out. And then also, if you want to make another one of these, we do send out or post the videos on our Art Camp YouTube channel. So look up the Summer Art Camp or something like that. Ashley, again, will send out the information. So if you want to make another one, make a new shape, this video will be posted by the end of the week. So look out for that. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Steven, for being here.
Yep, of course.
All right. Thank you, guys. Here, I'll unmute. Can I unmute all? How do I do that? There we go.
All right, bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.